Everyone's Missing and the Murdered is a weekly YouTube channel that covers the topic of missing and or murdered individuals from the state of Maryland. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe and click the bell so you'll be notified when the next cases are released. Any updates to cases will be pinned in the comments section of each video. In 1990, Gina Nueslein worked at Royal Farms in Baltimore, Maryland. The Royal Farm she worked at is no longer there, but it was located on Bowley's Lane near Hobbit's Liquors. Police would come into the Royal Farms and get refreshments. During Gina's shift, she met police officer James Kolbicki. Kolbicki was married with a son. That did not prevent Kolbicki from pursuing a relationship with Gina, and then Gina became pregnant. Kolbicki's wife knew about the affair. By the time Gina's son was born, her and Kolbicki were on and off. When they resumed their relationship in the fall of 1992, she filed for establishment of paternity. The paternity test confirmed that Kolbicki was the father. On October 29, 1992, Kolbicki denied paternity and requested a second paternity test. The court okayed the request for the second test, but ordered Kolbicki to pay a lump sum to cover support for the months since their son was born. The amount was to be determined at the next hearing on January 12, 1993. Meanwhile, the second test confirmed paternity again. In late December 1992, Gina began dating another officer. That officer would drive her home from Royal Farms. On January 8, 1993, at 8 p.m., Gina was leaving work with her new boyfriend, where she saw Kolbicki sitting in the parking lot. At 8:45 p.m., Gina's mom and sister came home and saw Kolbicki in a truck outside their home. When they saw him, he sped off. The following day, on July 9th, Gina was due at Royal Farms at 4 p.m. She walked to work, but she never arrived. Her mother reported her missing at 11:30 p.m. On January 10th, 1993, Gina Nueslein's body was found near the archery range at Gunpowder State Park. She had been shot in the head at close range, which caused a skull fragment to be forced from her head. She was wearing her pink coat over the Royal Farms uniform. Her pants were pulled down as if she was dragged. A man walking his dog found her. When the local news reported a body being found near the archery range, a woman, Barbara Clay, called police to report that she was at the archery range the day prior and saw a guy in a truck around 4:40 p.m. After Gina's body was found, police went to Kolbicki's house to ask him about Gina being missing. Kolbicki told them that they were, quote, very good friends, end quote, but they never had a sexual relationship. He added that he drove her to work on the 8th. Detectives asked about the paternity test, and he again denied being the father. Later in the day, detectives got a search warrant for Kolbicki's truck, gun, and they collected a denim jacket. At the crime lab, technicians noticed that his truck's interior was spotless and had a heavy smell of disinfectant. A metal fragment and bone chips were found on one of the seats. Luminol detected bloodstains in the truck. James Kolbicki was arrested for Gina's murder on January 12, 1993, the same day they were supposed to go back to court. Kolbicki was first convicted of Gina's murder in 1993, but the appeals court ordered a new trial due to allegations that the judge did not allow defense attorneys to prove key testimony. The woman who saw the truck at the archery range testified and positively identified Kolbicki as the man that she saw at the range. In 1995, another jury found him guilty. He secured a third trial because his attorneys proved that the ballistic examiner's testimony was flawed, as he had lied about his education. In 1996, a movie was made based on the case called, quote, Double Jeopardy, end quote. In 2017, a show on ID Discovery called Reasonable Doubt covered this case. The show stars a retired homicide detective and a lawyer who team up to reinvestigate cases. This retired homicide detective covered over 300 homicides in his career. They interviewed the Kolbicki family, and according to them, Kolbicki had an alibi that stated that he was with a friend at the time Gina disappeared. The investigator spoke with that person, who told him that he was with Kolbicki during a football game that he was listening to on the radio. The investigator learned that the football game ended a half hour before 4 o'clock, which gave Kolbicki plenty of time to travel to Gina's location. The investigator also spoke with Kolbicki himself, and Kolbicki claimed that the skull fragments in his car must have gotten transferred to his boots from a crime scene he was at the day before Gina's murder. The reasonable doubt investigator, who had covered over 300 homicides, did not believe that, as it had never happened in his career. When the reasonable doubt investigators met back up with Kolbicki's family, they told them that the evidence was there to convict him. His wife's response was, quote, "We are done." Finally, in October 2024, Kolbicki went to trial again. On October 22nd, 2024, he was found guilty of Gina's murder and use of a gun in a violent crime. On February 27th, 2025, he was sentenced to life in prison. His wife and son continue to believe in his innocence. Thank you for joining me this week. If there's a Marilyn's Missing or Murdered case you'd like to see on this channel, email me at marylandsmissing@gmail.com. My X account is Marilyn's M&M. Music is by Silent Vengeance. Sources will be listed in the outro. I'll see you again next week. Be kind to one another. You'll never know what happens tomorrow.